ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting
This is K.
episode. Oh, right into a commercial on accident. Whoops, off to a great start. Let's go ahead and close that out. Welcome to another exciting episode of the True Earth Debate. Staying true to the format, we are going to be diving right into the arena here in just a moment. So I do appreciate you all being with me today. Before we move on, of course, as my first show back since hearing the tragic news, I would just like to go ahead and say rest in peace, Bob. Good friend to the community. You will be missed, and your great work will go on. So we do appreciate you, and that's all we'll say on that. There are lots of things going on to support the family, so definitely check those out. I'm sure somebody in the chat knows something, can post a link. I have not gotten around to doing that, so that's my bad, but had a lot of stuff going on in my neck of the woods, but we're not going to go into that. We're just excited to have everything running nice and smooth, being able to dive right into the TikTok live debate. Hopefully we can get some more Globers in there, maybe get some more articulate arguments for us to think about, and really just have a great conversation. So before we do, as usual, of course, I would like to go ahead and shout everybody out who decided to join us today. Of course, John Osborne over on Rockfin. Appreciate you joining us. Donald Piaskic, welcome to the show. Just turned 62. You never know. That is true. FE Nation, what is up? Much love indeed. Of course, Waterworld and So Crates. Excellent. So Crates, interesting that people think that there's a debate to be had about the obvious shape of our planet. I'm going to guess by your word choice that you're probably a Glober. And that's okay. We do welcome you here. Lots of really great, oh my goodness, lots of really great people on all sides of the aisle, right? So we're looking to have really in-depth, productive conversations, really just diving into the shape and position, possibly movement of our Earth through the cosmos, right? Really, really fun. So I do like TikTok just because it's a bit wider of an audience. I have no problem getting a variety of people in. And I'm still going to be doing the open panels, of course, but I'm going to be limiting those to once a month. We're going to be doing that. So I haven't picked a date just yet. The only exception will be is if somebody would like to do a sort of debate, need it moderated, or debate yours truly, you can definitely reach out. Go to troublingtribune.com. Find my Telegram. That's the best way to communicate. And we'll get something set up for you. I do believe I'm going to be moderating a debate for Waterworld for Jim and for Battle Mod or Battleborn. I can't remember which of the thing was. I think it's Battleborn. We'll see. Haven't got the confirmation yet, but should be fun if we can do that. But yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right on in, folks. Go ahead and smash the like. It helps out the show, helps spread it around. Go ahead and share it. That way we can get a more diverse panel when the time comes. So let's go ahead. Now, folks who are familiar, this is the part that I usually have to dip out for just a split moment so I can go ahead and get everything situated. It's actually already pulled up. Just need to really unplug this. So, I guess I don't need to hear myself talk. I could just boop, unplug that. I'm sure everything's totally fine on the audio end. That's why I got this little bar here. All right. Go ahead and plug that in. Get this little mic thing here. And just like that, boom, we're live. Let me go ahead and switch it on over to the full web page. Get this all pulled up for us. Boom. All right. Here we go. I apologize if there's a little bit of an echo at first, but we will be getting that under control. No, I don't want to do a quick poll. Let's enhance. It always gets rid of my background. Folks, welcome to the True Earth Debate over on the TikTok side. This thing will be spreading out here soon. So we will get this going here in just a moment. Just let me get it pulled up here on the TikTok for everybody else over on YouTube and
Last 5
Rockfin,
minutes,
folks.
we're
If you
about to
don't know,
Kelly
we are
his live in
streaming
5
live on
minutes, and
YouTube
the
and
price will
Rockfin,
be
so go
back
check it out
appearing,
there. Folks
Okay,
get to
Rand,
listen
you
to some
follow
great
me?
music. And there I am live. Boom. In Rockfin, so go check
Boom.
it out there.
Perfect.
Folks get to listen
Right.
to some
Let me
great
go ahead and
music.
mute this.
And there I am live. Boom. Boom. Perfect. All right. Let me go ahead and mute this. No echo. Perfect. All right. All right, just a slight adjustment. Nice. Already got 40 people in, folks. Share the show. Let's go ahead and get this thing cooking with some oil. It's not, very much of a debate, very much of a conversation without people of varying points of view. So come on in. Do not be shy. Leave a comment. What's your position? Do you believe that we are on a flying space rock whirling through space at multiple different vectors? Or do you believe that we are in a topographical plane, not moving through space? Or do you believe that we're a concave Earth? Also, I would assume not moving through space. Who knows? Come one, come all. Welcome on in. Smash the screen. Let's get the likes going. Folks on the YouTube and Rockfin side, if you could do me the favor of letting me know how the audio is so I don't have to jump on over and plug in, I really appreciate it. Level 3323, stationary topographical plane. Excellent choice, good sir. I make no bones about it on this show. I do hold a position. I do believe that we are on a stationary topographical plane. However, I am open to having my mind changed, so do not be shy. Come on in. Let's do a quick poll. Smiley face if you are questioning the mainstream narrative. Crying face if you just believe everything that's spoon-fed to you, like the ball Earth. Or maybe there's a third option. Maybe you have some science behind it. Let's go ahead and hear it. We are open to the conversation. We're very fair, very cordial. We will not bite your head off. I'm going to make it an extra effort not to be cutting people off. I just ask that this goes both ways and that people make their points short, sweet, and concise, specific, right, if you will. So, Mama needs a dab, of course, with the true Earth, questioning the narrative as one should. Or first guest, welcome on in, Jim.
MrTribune, how are you?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic. How about yourself, my friend?
Good, good. Yes, I just wanted to let everybody know that I didn't know Bob at all because I'm relatively new to this. So, extreme condolences to his family. It's very sad.
Absolutely. I mean, nobody wants to see, a father pass. Nobody wants to see anything like that. So I didn't know him personally myself, although I was wanting to have some interactions, but life does, move on, get in the way. But all the best wishes, of course, and all the support to Cammy and his son Jaron. And we do wish them the best. I do believe firmly that Bob's work will move on. For those who don't know what we're talking about, Bob Nodell, huge figure in the flat Earth community, did pass recently. Not a lot of details on that, but it is very sad. But just to be quite fair, it's not really a sad show. I come in guns blazing with a hype energy on the YouTube and Rockfin side, so I don't want to dwell on it too much, and I know he probably wouldn't want us to either. So I do definitely appreciate everybody's support and everybody, being so active in this community and, on both sides being active to participate in the conversation and the debate is always something that is really I feel like it goes underappreciated a lot of the times, but not here. So
Let's find a globe earther or two, huh? What do you think?
well, I mean, that'd be completely up to them, right? They know where to find me. We got 100 people in here. Guys, you gotta have to smash the likes, share the show with your nearest Globy friends. That way, we can go ahead and get things kicked off. K Deltano, L Flat Earthers. We haven't even begun, right? Hey, but hey, I admire your confidence, right? As Sun Tzu would say, master of war has won before there are even boots on the ground. You're gonna have to try a little bit harder, though. We have, been in this for just a little bit. We've heard a lot of different arguments, and so far nothing like super duper compelling. Certainly interesting. Certainly some interesting claims, but yeah, we would definitely like to hear what you have. If you have any scientific evidence, then we would love to discuss it. If the Earth was a cube, Corey, not to be a smartass or anything, but we wouldn't really know it, right? We could be on one side of the cube. Just keep an open mind, right? Alrighty. Also, want to do a huge shout out to the folks who have started flooding in over on YouTube. If you don't know, we are streaming live over on YouTube in Rockfin. So if you want to catch the full show, you can always dip in over there. Hit the subscribe and like button because it really helps me out. And that is awesome. But we got Rethink Inc., Salted Cedar, FE Nation, Setneg. What is up, my friend? Dr. Bass Ackwards. I love names like that. Donald Piasek. Probably said that wrong, but oh well. And so Crates, like we said, welcome to the show. Whether you're participating live or in the comments, we do greatly appreciate you. And we will, of course, be taking questions. Priority always to the ones that have come with the super chat. You can go to troublingtribune.com if you like to support in that regard. But yeah, we do read the super chats and your questions. We're gonna be on for like 2 hours, so it's not going super long. We'll be off by 1 p.m. Eastern Standard. That's where I'm at. I guess you can't explain it. Arbolate, I'm sorry, I wasn't reading the comments. What am I not explaining? Probably something that has been explained before, but we'll see. Start at point A. Walk west indefinitely. That's not one. That's not even you. Oh, there it was. So how do you explain just normal everyday people seeing planets through telescopes? Wow, what a beginner level question. Jim, you want to take this one?
Well, the thing about the terrestrial, which means on the ground, when we look through our $80, $200 telescopes, we look up into the sky and we assume we're looking out a real far away, and there's no proof whatsoever, and things just may be up there that are close. If you look at stars, not Jupiter or Saturn, if you look at stars, you do not see nebulas and galaxies and suns. You see little hazy little glitters in the sky that look like they're stars in water. And so when you see these galaxies, what's interesting about these galaxies that a professor told me is that they'll literally take a picture of the sky from here, from the ground, from the terrestrial, and they'll put that picture into a computer, and they'll tell the computer what they want, and the computer will enlarge it until they get what they want, and then that's what you see on Facebook and Instagram. And if anybody tells you differently, you don't see the Andromeda galaxy from the terrestrial. You just don't. And that is all CGI. I hate to burst your bubble, but that's kind of what it is.
I wanted to address just a few more of these comments here. They're really great, right? Cue the trolls anytime a True Earth conversation is attempted to be had, right? Trying to shut it down with these dumb points. Like the whole quote flat Earth thing started as a joke, and y'all ran with it. Wow, what a crazy, ludicrous comment that shows your complete and utter lack of, any kind of research. So you look around, and it's like, let's just not even do the whole looking around observation thing, right? Let's just look at like all the ancient cultures and their depictions of the cosmos. They all have it as a flat stationary Earth. Whether it's right or wrong, to say that it started out as a joke is completely disingenuous. You're gonna have to do better than that.
Yeah, the big thing, if you want to believe that James Webb or the Hubble is 335 miles in the sky, if you want to go ahead and believe that, that's fine. Why have they never turned the James Webb or the Hubble around? This is my point. Why have they never turned the James Webb or the Hubble around and looked at an NFL football game on Sunday with the flag across the field and show that on TV at the same time they're taking it up there? Because if they can see 3, 4, 5 billion miles or light years away, and they can look back because that light is coming 3,000 years ago, they can surely turn it around and look at a football game on a Sunday. But of course, they don't want to do that. But if they wanted to put us to bed, the stationary topographical plane or flat Earth to bed, that's all they have to do.
Oh yeah, just give us a real undoctored, completely unedited photograph, right? But we never get that. To bring up the whole Hubble telescope images, when you look at the what is it called, the metadata for it. You pull it up, you can see the back end information of it. It literally is from Adobe Photoshop. So it's like, wow, what a swing and a miss there. And your only comeback will be, well, of course they have to pretty it up a little bit. They got to do some marketing, right? Sell it back to the people who already paid for it with their tax dollars, because that's what science is, right? Embellishing and propagandizing to make it more believable. Has to be processed, absolutely. That's hilarious, Comatose. That's exactly what they say. It absolutely has to be processed. It you can tell it's real because it looks so fake. It is Photoshop, and that's because it has to be. God, we need to fund public schools big time. Let me just say this, Molar, your point is ridiculous, right? Because let's just assume that you're right about the Earth being a ball. I'm going to assume you're a glober based on your comment. Let's assume that you're right and we're just completely wrong and way off base. Hasn't the public school system completely and utterly failed us? And you think that the solution is just to throw more money at it? People like you probably wouldn't do too well in business, right? You have to be really strategic about where you want to throw the money. All right, we got some folks in the guest box. Let's go ahead and let them on in. Shane Morris, welcome to the show. And then we also have old Greg Hayes. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being patient.
Hey, Shane. Hey, Greg.
So you are a flat earther.
True Blue, right over here. Welcome
So
to the show.
you are a flat earther.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. We believe in a flat, stationary, topographical plane. I guess it's really not cool to say, or not really very descriptive to say just flat Earth, right? Doesn't really give it an overall shape. We don't really know the overall, but we can tell that the feature of it, seems to be no curvature.
What if I told you that I was like the creator of the ORCID API that created two line elements for the roughly 12,500 satellites we have in space, plus another 60,000 pieces of space debris we have, and we track them using OBS and ephemeris data and telemetry?
Well, I can pick up like a lot of what, well, I won't say a lot, kind of what you're putting down. There were some things I didn't quite understand, just to be quite frank with you. What is it exactly that you do?
So I created the piece of software with a team of people that I work with that tracks what we call ephemeris information along with observational information, tracks all the elements in space with they're called .tle files, two line element files. It looks at the elevation and the telemetry of those files, goes around the Earth in a globe that allows satellites to exist and go around the globe, a sphere. And also, it looks at conjunctions. So, when satellites might cross over other debris or rocket bodies or whatever, my team is also responsible for those.
I have a
Oh, that's
question.
awesome. Go for it, Greg.
Yeah, so I have a question. So is this based on like telemetry and everything like that? So you're basing all of this off of information that you're gathering from the information you're getting from organizations that provide you the information on the the height of each satellite.
No, so we have what we're called observation stations. These are OBS, they're located around the world, which is a globe, and they track satellites as they go from place to place. And so we know the telemetry of them based upon their direction. And they're accurate to within 50 to 100 meters, generally speaking.
Okay, so you're basing it off of distance, direction, everything like that.
Distance, direction, telemetry, height, and you've also got they're traveling about 17,000 miles an hour, but they do lose trajectory sometimes. There can be interference due to electromagnetic factors, how high are LEO versus HEO. Then you've got your distant objects. There's a lot of different factors, geostationary, etc., that can make something travel at a different rate. But yeah,
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah. That was my only question. Yeah. At least as of now.
What's the mechanism that powers these outer space satellites? What's the mechanism?
orbit.
No, what? So you're saying that gravity and the combination of the orbit allows it to go 17,000 miles per hour?
Earth rotates, yes.
Do you have? Can you show me any experiment whatsoever that indicates motion of the Earth around the sun?
Sure, absolutely. This morning when you woke up, was it dark?
I'm not talking about rotation. I'm talking about any experiment by any scientist ever that you know of that demonstrates or shows motion of the Earth around the sun. Not rotation, but motion of the Earth around the sun.
Sure. Most of the scientists and physicists and heliophysicists at NOAA and NASA can demonstrate that the Earth revolves around the sun as it spins because we are in a planetary system with the rest of our solar system, and so we can observe the planets and their movement, and we can observe our movement relative to the planet's movement and other things in our solar system.
Do you have any experiment yourself? Because you're a very intelligent person.
Sure, absolutely.
You're a very intelligent person. Do you have any experiment that you know of that's been done in the history of the world that demonstrates motion of the Earth around the sun?
Absolutely, we'll do it right here, right now.
No, an experiment not a basketball.
No, physics scale. It's really cool.
Is there a scientist that has published anything
No, you don't need a scientist. I'm going to let you do this yourself. I'm going to let you do it yourself. No. Physics scale. This is going to be really cool. You're going to love this. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to plant a pole in your yard. Okay? If you could, just, a 6, 8 foot, 10 foot tall pole. And what you're going to do is I've got my ring light. I'm just going to turn the light up on the ring light so we can get a little shadow effect on the ring light. So I've got a comb here to kind of illustrate how this works, where the Earth is tilted. Okay, now we know that it spins, and we'll do like a little spin effect, right?
Man, it's so hard to deal with all the indoctrination. Can you try to stick with just the definitive point of what you're trying to claim instead of throwing in all this other indoctrination in?
The Earth is spinning, right? We know the Earth is spinning, 17,000 or so.
How do you know it's spinning 17,000 miles per hour? I'll start making you prove every claim.
We'll get there in a second. So basically...
one claim at a time, please.
You do realize the spin at the equator is 1,037 miles per hour claimed, not 17,000.
So here's what we do. So we look at whether or not the Earth
so he just said I word salad.
Spinning. And then we also want to know whether or not it changes relative based upon seasons, right? So it's going around this source of light, and it's spinning, woo, and we've got this comb. Now, what I want you to do is have that pole, and I want you to get a piece of rope and some pebbles or some way to mark everything. And what you're going to find is that you're going to have that pole and your pebbles and your rope, and you're going to find that the Earth has an irregular orbit and rotation every single day, and it's going to plot itself in these little circles, and they're going to end up making these little figure eights all over the place. See what I'm saying? And what that's going to do is prove to you. Now, here's the thing: I don't believe you, Shane.
No, it's that you don't know if the sun is moving versus the Earth moving, right? Don't just say no. Address it.
But we've got friends in Australia. And so we can have a friend
That's
in
a red
Australia
herring.
do the same thing. We call them up and we say, can you try to replicate the same thing that I'm doing at the same time? Because in your flat Earth theory, they would experience the same thing at the same time. But the problem is they're not going to, because they're going to be on the other side of the planet.
Can you show that? Can you show how on the flat Earth it would be doing the same thing at the same time?
No, yeah, because... yeah, absolutely. In fact, on the flat Earth, it would be doing the same thing at the same time because the Earth would be flat on a plane, and that little pull experiment worked the same no matter where you were. But on a globe, one side of the Earth would be getting a lot more sun, and the shadow trajectory would exist in a totally different way. And that's the cool
So
thing about physics.
so actually demonstrate that, right? Like on an actual flat table or like some flat surface, actually demonstrate that everybody on the flat earth would be seeing it at the same time, right? And that it's not just a
Well,
smaller
no,
local sun, and that we're not seeing it different based on everybody's different relative positions, right?
no. What I need you to do is you do it.
Now that's a burden shift, right? You actually have to
No,
demonstrate how
no.
it's different.
I,
You actually have to do the full scientific method, right? You can't just give me a piece of it and say, "All right, the rest is up to you," right? That's not very
I
good
mean,
in a debate, right?
it would
You're
be
gonna have
really,
to
it would be
track all the way through to the end there, sir.
burden shift. It would be an interesting burden shift if I was not literally someone that worked on satellite telemetry for a living. That
That's
like
an appeal to
that.
authority. Can you give
No,
us
it's.
something actually scientific?
You want me to get my book of bad arguments where you say an appeal to false authority is what you mean? I'm an
No,
appeal
just
to
an
a real
appeal.
authority.
No,
No,
appeal to
no.
authority in general. You
Oh
could be wrong.
no.
Doesn't
Oh
matter what
But
your
god.
authority is. It doesn't matter
did
what
you?
your degree is. You could still be wrong.
But did you write
Oh,
the book though? That's the thing.
where's
Well,
my
does he have a
book?
book? Does he have a book that shows the professionalism on all the fiber optic cable that runs through the
Through the
sea, like
oceans.
Hey,
all the
level.
single continents that are all connected together everywhere?
1 second. Level. Would you mind switching out? You're kind of freezing up, and also I have Caleb wanting to jump on in.
Okay.
I appreciate you. Feel free to come on back later.
Well, I mean, I can bounce out too.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's all
so
good.
so so you're worried about the Earth being flat,
I'm not worried
right?
about it.
You are.
I'm not worried about it. It's just an
Hey, what's
observation,
up,
right?
Caleb?
No, it's not an observation. An observation is a
Well,
satellite
if you
payload. We call
believe
them
that the Earth is a
ops.
globe, you gotta be worried because there are meteors coming every day. The Earth is spinning
All right,
so
all right, all right.
fast.
Hey,
We're
let's not go
tumbling
off on
through the
these.
universe. Yeah, but
Let's not go off on the tangents. Let's try to stick to, very specific, concise points. That way it doesn't go off into la la land and people don't get indoctrinated with a whole bunch of BS assumptions involved in a particular point, right? We're trying to establish what's known as first principles, right? Where we don't have to take in any assumptions. We can actually just establish based on real world measurements and observation.
What's
Yeah.
the
So
real
you
world
said if
measurable observation to prove that we orbit the sun?
So
No,
how can
nothing.
we actually determine the? So this question is more for Shannon or
Shane,
Shane, correct?
If you
you
Right?
believe the
said
Earth's a
an
ball
appeal
and think
to
we orbit around the
irrelevant
sun, it's for
authority,
both
right?
of you.
So what you said was an appeal to authority, and the real. This is a children's book, by the way. It's called an appeal to an irrelevant authority. But I'd be a relevant authority, right?
Yeah,
I'm a
so I
person who
actually
actually.
took so I actually was in language class, and any book can add that little thing in, but
Uh-huh,
when I was in language, which is where you learn logical fallacies,
right.
they actually just have it as appeal to
That's
authority,
cool.
right?
So this is
And
the
that's
book of
because
bad
even an authority
arguments.
figure can be wrong, like science has been in history multiple times. Caleb, what was your question?
Oh, so when I
I
was
would
in
like,
physics
Shane,
class. Oh, sorry.
Shane,
Oh, we were talking about physics. Sorry. Go ahead.
I would like you to tell us what
Huh?
the terrestrial or optical experiment is to prove that we are orbiting around the sun.
Sure, absolutely. I will help you understand that in an easy
The
way. I just did
the
it with my basketball.
the whole point of the question is that all astrophysicists and actual physicists admit that you can't prove that. I hope you know that before you
Oh,
make up
no,
something.
no. It scales. It's easy to do. In fact, the Mayans did it.
Okay.
The Incans did it.
The Mayans were
Yeah.
flat earthers, bro.
All right. So
No, they
so
weren't. Absolutely not at all. They
hold on.
might not have
So
understood what they were doing, but yeah,
to
they absolutely.
to
What's
add
the
with that
experiment? Let's hear
question
it.
though, Shane.
Okay.
To add with that question though, Shane, um, since you are getting into this answer that you are going to come up with, um, so my question is too: how do we determine the distance of the sun? Because if you say it's AM or FM
It's
radio
eight
waves,
eight light
or
eight light minutes
I'm not
away,
done.
give or
I'm not
take.
done. Right? I'll give you your time. Trust me. I'll give you more than enough time. And it's not LiDAR or anything weird like that. Trust me. I work with radio waves. I've been trained by the military, and we don't. There's no way to shoot that. And if you, obviously, they say there's a mirror on the moon, which would be a little bit stronger of an argument when it comes to something that would be a like a rock floating around as to where like the sun is a star.
We should probably just
So-
keep him on proving the orbit. This is going to be a little bit too much for him.
No, I can do it. I can do
Yeah,
all
no,
of it.
no.
It's cool.
I'm not
Okay,
asking
focus
too
on the
much.
orbit then. Let's hear the
Yeah,
orbit.
I'm
How
not,
do we
I'm not
prove the
asking
Please.
Earth
too much.
orbits?
But if I am, then yeah, you guys can totally cut me off.
Can we agree that physics scale?
Physics scale.
Yeah. Can
You're
we
going to
agree
have to
on that?
elaborate on that.
So I've got this ball, right? The Earth is the basketball, and what if I had a light source, like say my ring light that I'm pointing at myself, that I represented as the sun, and I said, "This thing is spinning." Ooh, well, hold on, let's do this. This thing is. Hold on. This thing is spinning. God damn it. I'm trying to do this like a cool way. So this thing is spinning. This is the Earth, right? And what I want to do is I want to make it spin, but I also want to make it rotate. See what I'm saying?
But we're not flying off.
No.
But we're
There's a
not.
difference. There's a
You're
difference
not gonna-
between
but-
modeling
but I-
something and proving it with an experiment, right?
Right, but I want to conduct
What's
it in
the
a way that
terrestrial
shows...
optical experiment to prove we orbit the sun, not spinning a
Perfect.
basketball on your hand?
Right, so
is
what
it?
I want to do... Can we agree that Australia exists?
Yeah.
Dude, what are you talking about right now?
Oh, I'm just asking. Australia's real.
Yeah.
Australia exists,
Yeah,
yeah?
Australia's real. Yeah.
Now, I'm saying they're in the southern hemisphere, right?
Southern Hemisphere plane. I'm saying they're in the Southern Hemisphere plane.
Yes, I agree.
Now, what I'm going to say is that if they're real, what I could do is I could draw a map of North America on this basketball. And I could draw a map of Australia on this basketball. And what I could do is take some toothpicks, right? And put them on this basketball. And I could replicate, here we go, what happens when
man.
the Earth starts spinning. No, physics.
So you're not
scale.
going to acknowledge the
So
difference
you're-
between an experiment and a scale model?
Yeah.
Because
And also,
no,
how does
physics
this prove
scale.
that we
That's
orbit
cool.
the sun? Really try to tie this into how this proves we orbit the sun. That's the topic.
Well, when you get
That was the
gravity,
question.
you know.
That was
But
the
the
question.
bigger piece here is that you can scale physics. That's actually one of the first lessons I learned in physics.
No, so you can scale a model. When you say scale physics, right? You know, what exactly do you mean by that?
Exactly.
I mean, the shadows.
We might
cast
need
on
a
the
better
ball.
glober.
If I
know.
was to glue some
Get a better
dowel
glober,
rods, if I was to glue some
I don't
dowel
have one in
rods
the box
this
at the
ball,
moment.
If I was to glue some dowel rods, well, I mean, it's weird. You know what I did all this. It's kind of funny because you guys laugh.
Hey,
You know what I did the
hold on.
entire
I
week
still
this
haven't
week?
heard
No,
you
Shane,
answer how we
Shane.
prove that this Earth orbits the sun. I still haven't heard it yet. I just heard you look at a basketball, bro.
Invented
Science scale,
software.
guys.
And you know
Just
what's
say physics
sad?
scales.
I like you guys, but it's kind of crazy because I have to keep you guys safe in a weird way.
What?
I invented software that keeps you guys safe in a way that you won't probably never understand. Because
No,
there are
Dude,
people.
that's a non
So in order
sequitur.
for
Red
me
herring
not to-
fallacy.
No, because
Red herring fallacy, bro.
No,
what
no,
are you
no.
talking about?
Because the world is round, right? And I invent
No, it's
software
not. That's
that
a
keeps
reification
bad guys
fallacy.
from launching bad things.
That's a
into,
begging the
you know,
question
orbit.
fallacy.
So you can't launch bad things unless the Earth is a ball, dude. Come on,
Yes.
dude.
Come
This is
on,
why
Shane.
it's really really hard to have an actual honest conversation because I know you don't mean this. I know that you're actually smarter than this and you're just trying to spin a tale for the people who maybe aren't as smart to follow. We clearly asked for a specific experiment and you keep trying to give us a scale
did.
model like that's an experiment. No, that's
It
not
is.
that's not an
It's not an
experiment.
experiment.
What experiment would you guys consider?
Do you know what
appropriate?
Michelson? Yeah, do you know what the Michelson-Morley experiment was that was done in 1887?
I don't, but it was done in 1887, so that should tell you a lot.
It was the greatest failed experiment of all time, so that should tell you a lot.
Guys, I don't know how to tell you this, but
They
we
tried
went
to
the moon
measure
in
the orbit of
1969.
the sun by shooting
That's a-
two lasers, one perpendicular to the orbit
They had
around the sun,
lasers in
and one
1860
with.
what?
1887. You don't think they had
1887?
interferometry equipment in 1887?
They didn't have modern lasers that we had for interferometry.
Oh,
Oh,
get
it's
this
been
guy
duplicated.
gone. Oh, get
It's
this
been
guy gone.
replicated. You know, I'd love to, but I don't have another Glober in, so until I do, we're kind of stuck, right?
I like being a Glober. This is fun. This
Hey,
is great for me.
Tribune.
You
Tribune,
you
if
just
want
said
to-
you
if
they
want to
didn't
pop
have
out-
lasers in
Well,
1887, bro.
not only am I a
You are
Glober,
so
like,
lost in the sauce, my brother.
you guys have a physicist in here. I'm a real life physicist. This is cool. What
I
else
don't
can we
believe
do?
that.
Yeah,
I
Hold on,
that's
but
very
I
Shane,
true.
That's
literally
really
have an
hard to
agreement.
believe.
Shane.
If you're a physicist, they're letting anybody be a physicist nowadays. You know what I'm saying?
But
I mean,
here's the thing,
I've
Cracker
got a
Shane.
Jack,
gold grill and
Cracker
tattoos. It's
Jack
really
time.
cool.
Shane,
Let's do the physics thing. Actually,
hold
you
on,
know what? I'm
no,
gonna get a book for you.
How do we
that's fine.
prove the
That's fine.
Earth orbits around the sun, Shane? How do we
No,
prove
so
it?
this is
How?
one of my favorite. I want to introduce. This is something you guys will appreciate. It's the physics
I
of
can
Star
show you my
Wars.
books too, man.
No,
Bro, if
no,
you study
I have a
physics,
Richard
bro,
Feynman
listen, one
book
second,
right here, bro. You want me to
Shane,
show
if
no,
you
it's
you my
study,
important.
books?
I'm trying to
Shane,
reach you.
Shane, if you studied physics,
Uh huh.
right, like you've been claiming for the past like 10 minutes, you can
Right.
actually talk about it without bringing books forward and actually prove things because you have a sane mind. Can you just do that, bro?
No, no. This is meant to kind of make a joke about you guys because I bring the physics of Star Wars out. We're not even getting into like the hard stuff.
Yeah, but
Um.
we're not trying to make a joke out of you. That's the
Oh
thing.
no. Of
I just
course,
want an
don't make a
experiment to
joke out
prove
of
we're
me.
orbiting around the sun, bro. What are we
The
doing
ex-
here,
the
Shane? Come
experiment to
on.
prove your orbiting is wrong. So how
Yeah,
would
yeah.
you
Let's
devise
hear it.
it? I just did.
That's your problem, not mine, dude.
No, no. I
That's your
just told
problem.
you. I
So
told you how we could do it.
is there an experiment that
Yeah.
proves it, Shane?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. So what you would do is you and a friend in Australia would each put. No, listen. Here, this is you're
I'll
laughing.
mute.
Hear me out.
I'm sorry, I'll laugh on
No,
it.
no, no. It's fine. So do this. So here's what we're gonna do.
But you did explain this one, right? And they're going to see the different things, and you're going to reify and assume that that's a proof of your globe. We're asking,
Absolutely.
yeah. So that's actually on its face, like even in the explanation, a reification fallacy.
No,
Where's an
but
experiment that we can have an actual control and a
okay.
variable that we can manipulate,
Let's do
right?
this. You're mad. I can tell you got upset. I tell you
I'm
how to
No,
do the
actually
thing.
no,
he's
I'm
annoyed.
actually upset at you
I
not
want you.
addressing the point
I
over
You're
and over and
literally
over
literally
just
just
again.
did.
beating
No,
around
no,
the
no.
bush. We've asked you 10
No,
times just
I'm
for
going
an
to tell you how
experiment,
you
Shane.
and a friend, no, you
Come
and a
on.
friend in Australia can do this to prove the Earth is round. I'm going to show
Wow.
you how it
No,
works.
we want an
So
orbit around the sun. We want the
No,
Yo,
orbit
okay,
around the
and it will
listen to
sun.
the
prove it, and
questions,
it will
bro.
prove we orbit around the sun, and we have the whole rotation.
hey,
I will
hey,
prove
hey,
it for you.
Wow.
guys.
Okay, let's
I'm
hear it.
going to
Let's
tell
hear
you
it.
how it works.
Oh
So
my
here's what you do.
God.
Give him a
No,
chance. Give him a chance.
no. Here's how it works. You're gonna put a 10-foot pole in your yard, okay, and you're gonna have some stones to mark every single day at sunrise, exactly at sunrise, the moment the sunrise comes across, right? Because you're gonna get this cool glint of light, and you're gonna mark a rock with a rope that is every single morning, every single day, 365 days a year. You're gonna mark a rock as the sun rises, as the peak of that shadow
Dude.
hits. And the person in Australia is going to do the same thing. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen to the
Where's the
figure.
control? Where's the control and the variable? Just before we move on,
Okay, this is not how a scientific experiment works with
Yeah, that's
regards to.
exactly
that's
how a
actually
scientific
exactly how
experiment
it works.
works.
By
Where's the where would you propose the control?
so that's not my burden.
No,
That's
no.
your
Like
We're
I'm
burden.
asking
letting
for
you
a
know that
scientific, right?
in this scientific
Not
experiment,
pseudoscience, not
Hold
pseudoscientific,
on,
not
hold
right?
on.
pseudoscience.
Tribune,
Remember
Tribune.
that
What
in
he
this
doesn't understand,
experiment,
we're not asking for an observation,
I
my man.
love that
We're
you
not
guys
asking for
think
an
that
observation. We're
every single
asking for an
experiment has to have a control.
experiment.
It's kind of funny that you guys think that every
For it
single
to
experiment
follow
must
the
have a control.
scientific method, it kind of
No, you're
does, bro.
trying to prove that this round thing
We're
exists.
trying to isolate the cause of the movement. You're actually trying to
Right.
isolate the cause of the movement of
And
the
so what I'm going to
sun
prove,
or the
and what
movement of
I'm
the
going to
earth.
prove is that the inverse is true. That's what I'm proving. The inverse is true,
You can't
right?
be a physicist, bro.
I
Can I see
You
your
literally
can't
am.
be a
credentials?
physicist, bro.
Yeah.
Let me
We're,
see your credentials.
What are your
Who gave you
credentials?
your credentials?
The University of Oregon?
You don't understand the scientific method, bro.
I
That
do.
is
No,
literally
no, you
insane that
the
you're a
scientific method is
physicist.
about proving a hypothesis, but my hypothesis isn't about this. My hypothesis is that the opposite thing will happen in the southern
Hey,
hemisphere.
in the
Shane,
it,
That's
can
why
I
I don't
say
need a
something?
Dude,
control.
Just one second, real
Shane,
quick,
that doesn't
bro.
prove the
Shane,
Earth
one
moves
second,
around
one
the
second.
No,
sun.
my
Bro, Shane,
hypothesis
one
is the
second.
other thing happens
Shane.
in the southern hemisphere.
everybody, hold on.
If there's an experienced sailor that
Uh-huh.
has sailed across the sea for like 5 years or more, okay,
Uh-huh.
you're gonna ask him a question about sailing. He's not gonna take a book out and try to tell me that this is how it works. He's gonna, by his head, off the tip of his tongue, explain to me every single detail of how the ship works and everything like that. What are you doing, bro?
I'm talking to you about how rotation works on a spherical plane.
Could we give you that it may work that way, but it's not definitive proof that it does work that way? And so in the
No.
scientific
How-
empiricism, we're looking for the definitive proof that it does in fact work that way. Can I just address on your flat earth assumption, when you're doing the comparison side by side, are you assuming that all parties on the earth would be able to see the sun at the same time?
Okay, so let's go back
Yes, he
to
is.
your flat Earth, right?
Well, I just
Answer
want
his question. Don't let him get away from
yeah,
this.
that
Answer
specific
Tribune's
one. Are
question.
you under that the sun is high enough and because the earth is flat that all parties on the earth can see the sun at the exact same time? And
No.
that's why the effect that you're talking about is proof.
No, because according to your model, some parts of the Earth are dark, and we know because, like, according to your model, sometimes Australia is dark and we have daylight. You can make a phone call, and I would
No,
assume
hold
you
on.
believe
That's
that
just
some reason it's
reality,
dark
That would be
Shane.
outside,
both
right?
models, though. That would be both models, not just one
Yeah.
model. That,
No, hold
that's
on.
both
It sounds like
models.
he's on the same page though. Is it true though? So yes, the sun is in a different position based on even though it's flat, the sun is in a different position because of perspective, because people are on different spots of the earth. Is that
Well,
fair?
no, actually, I'm going to say that the sun is a different position because it's moving through the Milky Way galaxy at
No, we're talking about the flat
approximate.
Earth model though. Try to isolate it. We're talking about in the flat Earth
Right.
model that you're comparing to the globe model that you swear is true.
I the globe model that I swear because it is true. Yeah, yeah.
That's a reification fallacy.
So
Sure.
okay, just again to reify the point to make sure I'm on the
Sure.
same page.
Uh,
In the flat Earth model that you assume for your comparison, it is also true that the sun is in different positions to the observer.
and the flat Earth model that you have
No, it's
posited.
in both models.
Oh,
It's
no,
in both
no.
models.
No, I just want to know what he
I
believes.
I don't have a flat Earth model. I
No, just
I
you.
wasn't
I'm
even
asking for the one that
looking
you
into it.
debunked, though. When you say that this experiment, right? Because that's what we asked for was an experiment. You present us this model with the basketball,
So
and
yeah,
then you say because of this observation that we have in Australia, this is how it works, right?
right,
So,
correct.
so again, on a flat Earth model, the one that you compared it to, how do you
Right.
know? The question I guess I'm asking is, how do you know that it doesn't work the same way on the flat Earth model?
Oh, because if you rotated a flat Earth, and any like sort of rotation, it
What
wouldn't
if
matter if you.
what if the sun rotated though?
It wouldn't matter.
No, but
Yeah,
like, what
but
if the
what's
Earth
it
was
supposed to do?
stationary and the sun was the thing that was rotating? Would that have any bearing on what you're talking about?
No, absolutely
So
not.
why bring it up?
Because it's parabolic. It's not centric.
So can't the sun just be moving in a parabolic pattern in the sky? Can't it just be moving that way?
So you're saying whether or not the sun is doing figure eights like this?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Is like, how did we determine if the Earth was actually moving or if the sun was just doing that in the sky?
So you would have to be asking whether or not the sun itself was moving in a massive helio figure eight thing that was highly erratic.
Well, no, it's not erratic. It actually is just a perfect pattern. It's a parabolic
So it would
It's
have
pattern.
very cyclical.
well,
It's actually
it,
completely the opposite. It's cyclical.
so
Clockwork.
it would have to no, actually, in order for this to work, because when you think about it, if you were to flatten this out as this thing spins, right? It's going to come
The Earth
around, and
doesn't
you've got
spin.
this other thing that. Well, no, hear me out, because the sun would then have to like follow the rotation of the planet, but it can't follow the
It's
rotation of the
not.
planet.
But we don't assume it's
Strong man.
rotating. So you're saying in the one that you supposedly debunked with the Australia
Mhm.
experiment that you're giving us that you're assuming that flat Earth model is spinning.
Right.
Okay, so that's what it's not going to work. You don't even know our model.
You don't
So
know our
your
model,
model
bro.
is what?
Okay, so our model would basically be that we are not moving, we're stationary, and the celestial bodies
And the
are
sun is
what
moving,
exactly?
right?
Yes.
The
But
sun and the
you
stars
you
move
don't
above
understand the
us.
problem with that.
What's the problem?
Well, the problem is this thing. This we know because we can put the dowel rod on one thing and the pole on the other, and we can see it spin, and we
Ex-
know
Explain how that proves it.
because the inverse is true depending on what side of the planet you're on. I
What are you
know
thinking?
Check the box.
the sun as it moves across, as the other is now having a sunset, right? I
Real
can
quick,
call someone.
Keith, are
Oh,
you
go ahead.
a glober or flat earther? He's in the box. I'm just waiting for
Oh,
a comment.
I
You guys
can't. I
continue.
can't wait. So basically, what we know is that we can look at those outcomes, and then we can place our pebbles in our rope, and we
Oh
can
yeah,
look at
bring
the
Keith in.
outcomes. Yeah. So
Okay,
so
cool.
that's how that works. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
no proof that the Earth's spinning or that it orbits the sun. Have a good night, Shane.
You were gonna do that?
We're
Alrighty.
gonna hope Keith is a little bit more coherent than you.
Keith?
He is a good Glober.
No,
He's a
I'm
Oh,
good
he is a
Glober.
good Glober.
Yeah, he is
I'm
a good
excited
Glober.
then.
Yeah, no offense,
That was
Shane.
awful.
It was
That
just
was
yeah,
terrible.
it was awful. We kept
It
trying
was
to narrow you down on
straight
one
up
point, and
atrocious.
I couldn't tell. I mean, maybe that's my fault, right? Because I always want to see the best in people, but I couldn't tell if you were just trying to like stall out for time. So I said I only
I don't
had
think
2
we could
hours, but
follow. I don't think
I
we
don't
Hey,
could
know.
gentlemen,
follow,
how
to be
y'all doing
honest.
this evening, man?
Keith, welcome
Good,
to the show,
bro.
man. Thanks for coming back on.
All right. Okay. I'm about to say, I hope this guy remembers me, man. I tried to be a little more memorable than that, man. I try. Hopefully, my intellectual acuity kind of reverberates a little bit, and somebody can remember me, man. But even if I am wrong, and just like we said before, I hold no position that can't be changed, and anybody that does hold a position that can't be changed, right? It's ludicrous. It's nonsense. If you don't hold if you don't have the ability to change your mind, then you don't have the intellectual acuity of a rat. So, with that, man, I did look from what we talked about before, with the 17 individuals who actually did the non-instrumental fights. Apparently, not all 17 did non-instrumental, right? They went around. They did the equatorial flight, but not all 17 did non-instrumental. Only 9 did non-instrumental flights. There were 3 ladies that did it, and 4 guys. 4 guys and 1 person didn't succeed all the way. They got to an island, and the plane had too many problems, and they ended up having to scrap the journey from there. But with that being said, man, I did have one question about when you said that about what the sun does. Um, if it was on the flat Earth model, how is the sun on one side and it follows the pattern? What keeps the darkness on one side of this plane and
Do
the
you
light not from shining across it? What does
do you
that?
know what the word attenuation means?
Yes.
There is attenuation to light over distance through our atmosphere.
Um. Okay, and I can understand that. Okay. I guess same way we attenuate with same attenuation with
With
volume
radio
and
waves and
things.
other things. Yep,
Sure.
There's
exactly.
actually to add on to that, Keith, real quick. There's actually an observation. I wish I could pull it up right now, but TikTok's kind of a bitch.
I understand.
But there's an observation where someone's out at sea. They're on a boat. I think it's like a yacht or something, and
Mhm,
they're looking out, and it's literally at that special spot where day is turning to night,
mhm.
and it's crazy. They're literally seeing the sun and the moon in the same sky, and you're seeing night on one side and day on the other, right?
I
So
used to
that
watch it as a child. Yeah, I
yeah
saw the
that
same
Yeah,
thing when I was
it
growing
would be
up.
great to like see like flight recordings, like
well
on airplane recordings. That's
to,
awesome.
one last thing to
They
add the
have, yes,
significance
sir.
of that means that the curvature of the earth is not the thing causing the day and night,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you're seeing it not being it's not the
Right.
obstruction of earth curvature causing it, right? Because you're seeing it.
That would have to be, and I guess going by that, you would be correct. Um, for me, when I look at the globe Earth model and I see that the sun is, and I don't want to say east to west because there's no directions when you start talking about things that have no orientation like space. I can only look at it, and I don't know how to describe it, but if it's on the other side of something and it casts the shadow around it, it does seem counterintuitive that we wouldn't see something so large and shine directly past it. We wouldn't see like a ring, like if it shined past the earth, it doesn't seem like it would just stop, right? It seems like with it pushing that much light, there would be light that would be like going through the earth with something that was pushing off that much. You would see like a ring of light as you looked out into the night sky, and that one right there seems like it would be like in I guess you would call it an more like a halo effect of some kind. If the sun was on the other side and it was shining, and we were on this dark portion, and then like rays of light would seem like they would come around the outside of the planet, and that for that one that does pose somewhat of a problem. It could for me, and I've seen it
If I
on.
can, guys,
Yes,
can
sir.
we route the conversation to kind of what we were talking about with Shane? If I were
I
to ask you,
apologize,
Keith,
man. I
to
didn't mean to derail
prove,
that.
yeah, you're good. If I were to ask you, how would you prove that the Earth is orbiting around the sun or that there is actual rotation to the Earth, what would you say?
For me, that would be with the moon being tidally locked. That would be really hard to do. It really does. The only thing we can do is take external sources like the sun and reference where the sun and the moon's positions to each other are, and that would be
Well,
the
that's
only
the
thing we
correct.
could
That's
do.
the correct answer. Honestly, well, if you were to say that to any Glober, really all that they would have is stellar parallax, or to say like, oh yeah, we do
True,
see the sun and the moon moving in the sky. But
true.
don't you agree that, like, do you know our model like of the stars and how fast they move? Do you know, like, essentially they say that the stars are moving at 15 degrees per hour, right? Even on the globe model because of the axial rotation. Our model that doesn't prove it. Looking at the sky and saying stellar parallax, that doesn't prove that the Earth's moving, and hence why we have physicists like Einstein, George F.R. Ellis, and plenty of other physicists back in the day admitting that nobody can prove this. It's just a philosophical mindset.
Yeah, sure, no problem. I understand that without having gone there, or without being able to
Yeah, you'd
match the
have to go
distance
from you'd
or
have to
see
look
the
at it
same.
from a different reference frame. You'd agree, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So you would agree
absolutely.
that
You're
it's
correct.
just a philosophical belief that you have that the Earth spins or orbits the sun, right?
Well, I would say that it was for me. I base it off of my observation, and when my observation matches um the predictability, right?
Mm-hmm.
When something has a predictability, and you can make a determination as to what something's going to be by what it is that you're seeing now, and it does it with such an astonishing regularity.
So
That
wait,
that
just
is
so I'm
never
following you.
altered in any touch. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just so I'm following you,
Have
Keith.
you
So you're saying
have
Yes,
you
sir.
like,
observed
hey, if
everything,
I'm
man?
predicting, if I go outside and I predict that the stars will move at 15 degrees per hour because of the actual rotation of the Earth, that is what you're
Doesn't
getting
make it
at,
true.
right?
It doesn't make it true.
And that the sky is moving at 15 degrees per hour, so then we'd be on the same level of proving the
If
hypothesis.
you're correct. I just the only part is the explanatory power of saying that there's a magic orb that surrounds us seems, and I guess with something celestial, there's no, you can't say the likelihood of one is greater than the other. So that one's going to be hard for me to prove. It just seems like one has, with the explanatory power of one, it seems like to me, um, it I don't know why intuitively it just seems like it matches better,
If
even
I
though
may,
I question it. Yes, sir. Go
if I
ahead,
may,
brother.
Keith, I would
Mhm.
I would challenge that the only reason that it intuitively seems to make more sense is because you were
Mhm.
indoctrinated, just like we all were in the public school system, to believe that this is the best and only possible model of our universe, given all the scientific progress, quote unquote, that we have made. When we actually start digging into these things and you actually see what was either purely assumed, never proven, or completely reverse engineered, right? Because that's also not proof in something. If we went out and the Earth is indeed flat and we see that things are dipping down due to perspective, and instead of calling it perspective, we say, hey, that's curvature, right? Reverse engineering mathematics based on our observations in and of itself is not proof of the model, even though the model can be used to explain a whole lot of stuff.
Well,
Um,
I think Keith, sorry, Keith is really
Yes, sir.
logical here, but I think that you've got to understand what you're saying is kind of counterintuitive to to the follow up. You're admitting that both assumptions would be correct. Like if you go outside and assume that the Earth is a ball and that it's curving at the rate of 8 inches per mile squared tangent to the observer looking out to the horizon, and we're saying that that's due to perspective, or we're saying that the Earth is stationary and that the sky revolves around us at 15 degrees per hour, both assumptions are just as valid as each other. So what I'm saying is it proves neither model. And I think that's what you're getting at too. So then at
For
the
me,
same time, I
yes.
don't understand where you're coming from saying that it makes more sense though that it's a ball when we both just agreed that they're basically the same amount of guessing power.
My intuition comes from when I look at human beings, right, over the history and the course of our existence. human beings have, while there are always going to be people who are dishonest, there's many people that I would, based on observation, normally, and it could be different at any point in time, but for the most part, there's this many people that are honest, this many people that are, as a general rule, are lying, and this many people that have something to gain by someone lying. So based on those, right, that kind of intuition, and then looking at the explanatory power of one, and somebody's making predictions. The predictions are as far as I know, 100%. As far as when the sun's going to be there, what time it's going to set, where the moon in the position, and the position of the moon, how much moon there's going to be,
Well,
based on the
that's going
Can
to
I?
be perfect because that's been observed for forever. So
Well,
Hey,
also
Keith,
we've
do you
got to
know
bring up.
Mhm.
do you know what a astrolabe is?
No, that word is foreign to me. Please
Okay, so
expound.
no, just look it up for yourself, man. It predicted everything before even NASA
So
existed.
what we should bring up is the predictability of the sun or the moon rising or the planets or the stars. It was just as well predicted by our ancestors that were flat earthers. They made rocks. They set up rocks that were, I think it's archaeology, astronomy. I've got to have a book on it. But the predictability power is, again, basically the exact same if we look into history and we look at our ancestors predicting solar and lunar eclipses. That's where we actually get most of our predictions was from our ancestors, and they were all flat earthers, admittedly.
Yeah,
If
why else? Why else would we have a farmer's almanac?
say again. Oh well, yeah. Farmer's Almanac says 1924. Yeah, you're right. You're correct. And like I said, there is no such thing as someone who's terrestrially bound saying that they know things, right? I'm under no delusions that from my terrestrial stance that I can say something is 100% certain. I cannot. It would be nonsense for me even to attempt to do that. Um,
Very cool.
so I would say
We're
that
saying the
for
same
me,
thing.
I'm seeing likelihoods, but and I'm saying that there are so many people that when people don't have something to gain, and they say they've done a thing, and it's not going to bring them any notoriety, it's not going to bring them any monetary value. I would say that most of the time, those people that are saying that they did the thing are generally telling the truth, and I mean they could all be lying. It could be, and I can't take that out of the can't take that out of the equation either. It just doesn't seem likely that they would for me.
So can I ask you something?
Sure. Go ahead, brother.
So the heliocentric model, right? That
Hmm.
this is what everybody believes in.
Hmm.
It states that the Earth spins at the equator at 1,000 miles per hour, around the sun at 66,000 miles per hour, forward throughout the galaxy and the universe at 1.2 million miles per hour. Supposedly, we're moving 2.4 million miles in one day.
Hmm.
But for 4,000 years since the Egyptians built their pyramids, they say that they're not aligning to it now. But we've never recorded one single change of star, not any one single constellation change. Like, how do you explain that?
As far as what we've been able to do since Copernicus, um, there wouldn't be for us. These distances are so if it holds true, if the distances are true, they would be so vast that 480 trillion miles. Like no matter how many days or how many years you watch, it would take 6,000 human lifetimes to watch something that was 400 trillion miles away to even notice any movement. And we haven't been here 6,000 human lifetimes, or even
How do
if we
we
But
know
have,
that
no,
that's
no,
the
no one,
case?
no observer has been.
to say
Hold on, hold on.
something, man, to say something, the
So,
the Big Bang, right? Pattern outwards.
mhm.
So for 4,000 years, we've never a constellation never left us. Stars hasn't
Hold on.
disappeared because they're going onwards. It's just a question, right?
True.
Max, the a better question would be is I get that if the stars were at that distance, I get what you're saying,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
what you then that's a would be a positive claim to say that they're 400 billion years. You know what I'm saying? Do you have any proof that the stars are 400 billion years or
We'll
400
never.
billion
No
miles
one can
away?
ever have that proof. We'll never. We can't traverse that distance under any circumstance. There's no way we're getting to the next galaxy. The nearest star is, from our approximation, based on light and movement. Um, that was 52 billion, and the nearest galaxy is 400 trillion. That's and I forget the name of the nearest galaxy. It was 400 trillion miles away. So it's going to take us another 6 billion years for it to crash into this galaxy, or we could just be off and it never even get close. So yeah, you're right. I mean,
You
for
know,
me to say that I know this is
Well,
nonsense.
do you
yeah,
know how the
there
moon
you
was
go.
built, or how the moon was formed, supposedly?
Yes, I understand that there was a planetoid that when we were protoplanets, when the planet was in its protoform, and
Let me bring one thing up, and then I know
yes,
Tribune
sir.
has something he wants to say.
Sure, brother.
The
Sure.
problem with it, bro, and my problem with the current mainstream consensus of the distance of the stars is, like you just said, and you seem like a very honest person, and I really
Thank you.
respect that. But
Thank you.
it can't be proven. You
No.
can't prove that these things are thousands of light years away, as much as we can't prove the distance of their locality. So that's the problem when we have mainstream science going out and admitting that they were 200 light years off of the distance of Polaris, even in the heliocentric model. Why should I believe anything that they purport about the distances to stars at that point?
You're right. I would have to say that you being skeptical is natural, at best natural. The only thing about it is, uh, when we do things based on scientific evidence, right? We're basing things on what it is that we can do, right? That we can do this, we can see this, and it's not always correct, right? But we have to go with the best available data, which is why we do everything. We don't get medicine correct. We don't get our geology just for our own planet. We don't get it right all the time. But based on what we do know, based on what we have observed and tested, I would say that going against that until such time as we can show that there's something different, I would say that that's the best way to go about finding our explanatory power. What about you?
Okay, so the thing that I wanted to add into this,
Yes, sir.
very, very relevant, is that just like what Caleb is saying, why should we believe any of it? And I'll take it a step further. One side is claiming that it's scientific, which by definition means that it's followed through the steps of the scientific method, when in reality, even by everybody's, admission, Michio Kaku says that nobody in his field does the so-called scientific method, that it's guesswork, and that they're flying by the seat of their pants. And so with all this being the case, something that is claiming to be scientific but has not gone through the scientific method is literally defined as pseudoscience. Flat earthers have been trying to say that the cosmological claims are pseudoscientific in nature, and the thing that we actually have hard evidence for is the terrestrial evidences, which are the Earth is actually not curving, and that we don't have any measurement of motion through space. That's the truth of it. There is no measurement of motion through space, and scientists, mainstream, decide to
Bring
interpret that one
Navamore up.
way. What's that?
North Canada.
Navamore says that's incorrect, host. I'd love to see you try to defend that, Navamore. Let's hear you. Let's hear
North
you come up
Canada.
and try to defend
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Come on up.
You would have to reference the distance, and there's no
Request
way
Navamore.
until we've reached Mars, and not even Mars. I would probably say a better reference point would be Jupiter, right? That would be a reference point where there's such a vast distance that you can see the movement and you can reference it against other movements, the movements of Mercury. Okay, we can see these two bodies pass around each other, because you definitely can't do anything. No determination can be made from a tidally locked moon. That can't be made, and that one I'll admit to. I understand that. But what
Of
about when we
course.
say, when for me,
Sorry, I
can't
was
say
talking to
that.
Navamore. No, sorry, I was
Oh,
talking
okay.
to Navamore. He said that he
But
can't join, and it's just convenient that he can't join
okay,
right now. That's pretty convenient.
sure.
But keep going.
Yeah, I'd like to know what I'm incorrect on specifically.
Navamore is a good debater. Keith Knock, we're having a good conversation. That's what we're having. But
Sure.
Navamore is a good debater. I'm so sad that he can't come on right now.
I would
Yeah, I
I
like.
would love to have him in there. Me personally, when I look at everything, I'm always looking at the reason and the evidence, man. And for me, even though I can't touch it, and I can, part of the scientific method is the first thing is observation. And then once I compare my primary observation to my secondary and my tertiary observation, and then I continue to do this over and over and over again, and I come up with something that I can explain, I tend to use that, right? Even in my regular day life, just like everyone does, right?
Well,
Don't you guys do it?
Keith, the only problem is that, and I get what you're saying, and you
Yes, sir.
couple it with the predictive power and stuff. But the thing is that we actually start narrowing down the specifics of it. We actually find that the the thing that would actually prove the shape or position of the Earth in its the cosmos is actually based on pure assumption and worked off of that, or completely. For the example of the, I'm trying to remember the exact name of the. There was the Caleb. You can probably help me out with this. With the they were seeing the star through the sun, and so they did a whole bunch of photographic plates. They like did 17 of them to try to capture the light through the sun, and they ended up only bringing like 2 of them. And there was all kinds of problems with the experiment, but they just kind of ran with it anyway. There's problems with humans, right? Scientific method is a good method of determining cause and effect relationships, but because humans are always behind the wheel, there does tend to be errors and reifications. One of the most famous reifications is with the speed of light. People can go and look this up. We were off apparently on the speed of light by 20% all the way up until like the 1930s. So, and the reason for that apparently was that all the scientists were just backing each other up off of one guy's supposed measurement of it. So these things can and do happen, and because it looks bad, obviously these things do want to be covered up. So when you say, there's terrestrial things that we observe and then we can combine it with this other stuff, let's try to, for the purposes of the debate and the conversation, for your own growth and for everybody else's, let's try to keep specific with it, right? What exact observation are you talking about, and how?
And I've seen some of those powerful telescopes where you can darken it enough, and I see solar flares, right? And I can see that there's this crazy activity, right? It looks violent. And this is just me, my observation. I can't tell you how hot it is. I can't tell you any of that stuff. But I see that it's moving, right? I see that there are things that are being done. I'm witnessing those. I'm looking through a telescope again, and I'm looking at the moon, right? And I see that it's not some body that we can see through. It's not opaque. It's not transparent. I'm looking at a solid object. Normally, human beings, we're not always right about it, but when I see a terrestrial object or and what I would say as the moon is an extraterrestrial object, I tend to be able to tell what's solid and what's not. And we may be wrong.
Well,
It's
We may
very
be wrong.
easy to be wrong.
if I can, Keith, the moon
Uh-huh.
would be a celestial object, not a terrestrial object. But as
That's what I
well
said.
as
Extraterrestrial. I'm sorry, extraterrestrial, not non-terrestrial object. I'm sorry, or
well,
celestial. I'm sorry, I should have said celestial instead of extraterrestrial.
no,
My
you're
bad.
good. You're good.
Sorry about
You're
that.
good. No, you're totally good. I'm not trying to be semantical. Just,
Oh, we're
but
fine,
either
brother.
way,
We're fine.
when you look at the moon, how do you tell that it's physical when we're seeing through it during the day?
Well, when I look at it, even during the day, when the light starts to, and light plays a lot of tricks on people. But when I look at it through a telescope, and even when I see it during the daytime, when it starts to become low light, the sun's not shining super bright, and you tend to see all things better. They're more clear when you don't have a light and you don't have the I can't remember what the hell you call that, there's a haze, and there's another thing, there's another word for it, but you see things better when the light's not shining directly at you. And I look at it through a telescope, and I've seen it many times, and for me it looks solid. For me, that's just me,
Well,
and you may see something different.
Keith, what kind of a telescope do you have?
I don't remember. I don't have my own telescope. I've
Oh,
just
okay,
I had
that's fine.
I'm sorry, I don't know the
I was
model.
just
I
curious. No,
do
you're good. You're
apologize.
good. I have an 8-inch Dobsonian telescope. It was like $800, and I look at the moon all the time, and that's the problem I have. When I look at it during the day, I'm seeing directly through it to the blue sky behind it.
Really?
So yeah, and there's pictures of this. If you just look up moon crescent during the day, you will see the blue sky through the moon. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is you can say you can look at the moon and see physicality, and I could also say just as well that I look at the moon and see non-physicality. I see metaphysicality.
Okay, sure. I'd have no, because when I say I see green and you say that's not green, that's blue. Who am I to dictate that? No, that's green. No, that you're fucking seeing blue. Who the hell am I?
Well, what we could agree is that looking at the moon in no way would tell us anything about
It
the
does not.
shape of our Earth, and that it's not really
Yeah.
a good thing to bring up for
Can
a
we switch?
terrestrial observation to prove the shape.
The
Do you
moon
mind if we
does
switch the topic,
nothing
Keith?
for us. Sure,
Well,
go
I'd
ahead.
like to bring something
Could
up
it-
to you real quick.
Yeah. You haven't been talking. Yeah, bring it up.
Yeah, so if we're looking at the sun through a telescope and you look at it at a much smaller scale, right? We'll say like looking at something like plasma through a much smaller scale, then you are still going to end up with the same result as something as how can we say you have something so small. I wouldn't call it minute, but
Mhm.
it's considered the same thing. You're gonna end up with the same result to where you're observing the same thing to where now you're looking through a telescope and you're looking so far, but you're it's kind of
Those
hard
reactions, if you scale those reactions down, the reactions are not violent like that in plasma. They're not that violent. They just don't look like that in anything we have on this planet. We can't even reproduce it unless you start talking about uh,
The,
volcanic eruptions and things of that nature. There's nothing like that's that violent that we
are you
witness.
s- are you claiming the sun isn't plasma?
No, I'm no. I'm saying it is. I'm just saying that our reproduction here. So, like he's saying that if you scale it down and you look at the same thing and you look at those reactions, that they would be the same here, and they're not. They're not the same reactions here. The sun is definitely something extremely violent, right? When
Yeah,
you
but you
look
were
at it,
talking about
it's
solar
absolute
flares
violent.
earlier.
Yeah,
Can
that's what I
I?
mean. When I measure that against, and the only thing that comes close to um, that as far as the way it looks is.
He admitted we can't.
I don't think that anybody can because
Okay.
That's a
you
very
can't get
honest
within
response.
Because
700,000 miles
I
of it.
have met a lot of I don't mean to label anybody, but I have
Mhm.
met people of opposite the opposition of to where they can say we've determined this by XYZ based on radio waves or you know what I mean and
Sure,
when I
sure.
work with that and it's work with if that's like my field of work and I can't determine that then I can't really back you up, right?
Can I,
Sure,
if
sure.
if we can, I think we should switch topics. I think everyone would
Hold
agree,
on,
but
hold
I
on.
want to bring one
One
thing up
quick
before
thing.
we do switch.
Sure.
Do you know the visual size comparison of the sun and the moon from a terrestrial perspective on the Earth? How much bigger is the sun than the moon from our view on the Earth?
I'll be right back. Keep it civil.
One I think it's 1.116 times. Not very. There's not very much difference from our perspective. 1.116 to one. The moon is one, and the sun is 1.116. So it's not very much difference at all from our
Well,
terrestrial perspective.
the actual answer is they appear to be the exact same size, and they say that because they say that this is kind of funny, but they say it perfectly happened from the Big Bang to
Mhm.
where the sun is 400